we're really talking a lot this year in particular about culture, intentional culture. And I think we'd all agree. I mean, everybody is painfully aware of the talent and labor shortage out in the market. And so, there's runaway compensation and people could almost write their own ticket. We've seen payroll and compensation packages jump 30, 40, 50, even 100% in some positions. And small and mid-sized businesses, you can just get outbid for the limited talent that's available out there. So you've got to have some other way to compete. We've made a conscious decision that culture and what it's like to work here and our values and our communicating well about what our vision is and our mission is and what everybody's role is, that's part of how we're doing that. And man, I got to tell you, it, it was a few years ago, and it was a young millennial, and this was before the Gen Z group entered the workforce, right? So millennials was the generation we all complained about. And at the end, I had this young guy said to me, he said, culture's more than just free Panera on Thursdays for the staff. And he's right. It's not just Danish and muffins, right? We had to really, and it was really me, leadership had to understand, how do we create a place that people want to come and work? And it's not just espresso machines, right? It's caring about each other. It's taking an interest in each other. It's for us, it's communicating what the company's doing. For us, it's also sharing the upside with people. So the company's doing well financially, we're paying that out. We've launched a profit sharing thing just as an example. And I said, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but we're going to take a third of the profits and we're going to give it to the employees. And we're going to take a third of the profits and we're going to put it in our rainy day fund in case something bad like a pandemic happens again. And the final third, we're going to invest in the company. So it'll be either in equipment or it's going to be in expanding a facility. But it seems so a third. And my job every quarter is to go before the staff and communicate this. And just even the rank and file guys that work in, the carpenters and the field operators, they go, that sounds about right. And so everybody's willing to work hard because they want to be part of something, which, oh, by the way, they're not finding that type of an environment in many other places. Right. And so, I love this conversation about, but it's funny. It never occurred to me to think about the death spiral by department or by area of the business. But you're right. I can see, but it is an area that I've always worried most about burnout because, to your point, if you've got one or two or three or four designers, and each one's got it's 5 projects, it's 8, it's 10, it's 15 projects you're managing, and all of them are on deadlines. All of them have different levels of realistic budget, or we're always talking about this, by the way, Satchel, with our field operators. When somebody's going, I don't know why this made out of this, or why'd they use this? They should have done this. I'm like, hang on. You don't have a right to have an opinion at this point of the design. You have no idea what the conditions were that created something being fabricated or produced that way, right? So the most beautiful thing, guys, that exists in the exhibit world is the one you're working on right now. So let's just work together to get that done. But great conversation. So Ken Robinson talked about you got to be willing to fail. And so one of the things, Satchel, so he's talking about it from an educational standpoint, and he likes to quote Pablo Picasso. He said, all children are artists when they're born. The problem is them remaining that as they go through life in a world that seems to want to teach, train, and coach you out of that. And he talks a lot about how academic institutions really are designed to drive you to academic linear thinking, which doesn't leave room for the band people and the theater people and the dance people. That gets pushed down to the bottom of the pyramid on academics. By the way, and then he talks about how the business world has then picked up on also sort of punishing, either by design or by default, wrongness, mistakes. You're not promoted. you're not kept as an employee. So you become afraid to fail or to not do it a certain way. And we really are losing the huge opportunity of unleashing that true authentic power of anybody that's creative. And it could be my master carpenter in the shop who makes the sexiest reception counters you've ever seen, or it could be that original designer where you see a structure and environment and you go, this looks better than anything I even imagined. How did you come up with this? So how do we create culture in our workplace, maybe even with people that have been in the workforce for 10 or 20 years and have been conditioned to not take those risks? How do we is it possible to still bring that up? I mean, you're the farmer in the apple orchard growing the trees before they're picked and shipped, right? So that's a different set of challenges. But how about that fruit that's already been at their desk working away for so long, and they forgot what the smell of fresh cut grass and a sunny morning looks and feels like?
Yeah, you've talked a lot in previous episodes. You've talked about this like hybrid employee, and
I'm going to put these back on because I'm feeling creative right now.
How you can wear multiple hats. And if you think about an organization and you think about the culture that you're creating as it relates to this notion of oppression, it's a really interesting kind of thought exercise. If we think about oppression as a system, and so the leader of the organization is taking in every client that comes in. They don't care. It's all about revenue. And then he's pushing that work onto account managers and salespeople. And now they feel oppressed. And so to continue the system, in order for them to make you happy as the leader, then now they need to go to the design department and say, I need you to do something. I need you to work on Saturday and Sunday. They're probably going to be long days. Oh, it's your kid's birthday party. Could you do this one for me? It'll just be this one time. And now the designer is being oppressed, and now they're mad. And the reason they're being oppressed is because of the person kind of shepherding the project, which was ultimately given to them by leadership. And now their kids are being oppressed and their family life is being oppressed. And
oh, by the way, are they doing their best work when they're feeling that way, Satchel?
Yeah. You talk about this notion of that I never thought about this until you brought it up in the podcast, is when we pay double time, we're getting the worst work. And I know it's not complicated to think about, but like we always think about the work being almost linear forever, but it doesn't. People, they're
sometimes you need something like sleep, right? Sometimes you just need to get up and change your physical location to get a fresh perspective, right?
Yeah, effective. So what you're talking about with the shop is happening to the designer. So the designer's process is now oppressing the shop. And now you have a system of oppression. And so we say, well, what does the other side of this look like? And how much does it cost? And it's basically, how do we create a system of freedom? And so we manage the clients that come through the door. And every once in a while, we'll get that project that comes through the door where they have a budget, they have no time, and it's a potential client that could move our organization forward. But when times like that happen, we bring everybody together and we say, here's the deal. We got this customer that came through the door. They have money. They have no time. They want it basically yesterday. What should we do? And you may, when you create a system of freedom, get them to say, it's my kid's birthday party this week. I need to be out of here by 5 p.m. and I'll come back at 10 p.m. But I will rock this because I want this business for our organization and the shop, and everybody rallies around it. And now you have a system of freedom where everybody's bought into the culture of the organization and they don't feel resentful, but rather they feel empowered.